Welcome to the Peak Podcast. My name is Kyle Nelson. Got my co-host, my good buddy, business partner, best friend, kind of like a brother.
Absolutely.
Mr. Eli Libby. What's up, buddy?
Man.
Good to see you.
We look kind of like the same.
Today, the jacket in your shirt goes well.
Ooh,
I noticed.
I feel it.
Yeah, especially on the other side looking at us, you'd think we're almost twins right now.
I know.
The camera's
I
coming
know.
through.
I did put these glasses on before.
I know. Well, the beard.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to the Peak Podcast. We run a company called Peak Fulfillment where we help people go through 3-day guided solar retreats to really reset their minds, get through that cloud and that fog that they might have, and get back to who they want to be. And so through the revolution of that, we have created the Peak Podcast. This is another episode of finding coaches out there that just want to talk about their peak points in life and exactly where they found the motivation, inspiration to start coaching. And we have an awesome guest today, which is going to be a great conversation. Lots of synergy.
Lots of synergy and great energy. The pre-shows are typically like where you can shake out. What is it going to feel like? What is the show going to be like?
Yes.
And Melanie's energy,
I
really felt something there.
Agree.
And I cannot wait to just share what she's got.
All right. And without further ado, we do have Melanie Deziel. She's a keynote speaker and award-winning branded content creator who is passionate about helping individuals, teams, and organizations unlock their creative potential and organize their creative efforts. Co-founder of the Creator Kitchen Mastermind for Creatives and the author of both the Content Fuel Framework, How to Generate Unlimited Story Ideas, and Prove It, exactly how modern marketers earn trust. Melanie, welcome to the Peak Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me and let me share my story.
Yes,
absolutely. So Prove It. I mean, what's the book about? I want to just jump right into that because you pointed to it.
2 books: Content Framework and
Which one's your favorite? Real quick.
You can't pick a favorite. That's like picking a favorite kid.
No, you can definitely pick a favorite. That's the thing. That's the thing. It really is. No, I'm not kidding.
Okay, so I'll say the one that I feel like is most needed right now is probably Prove It.
Nice.
So the book is really about the fact that we are operating in the most skeptical consumer environment we've ever operated in, right? You don't know what to trust. And this is even more true with AI in all the ways that it's infiltrating everything. So the onus is really on us, especially as relationship marketers, people building a business based on relationships. As a coach, you need to prove that you are who you say you are and that you do what you say you do, because anyone can say it. It's really the showing instead of the telling that is going to help differentiate you in the marketplace and help you stand out as someone who can be trusted to create the transformation that you're claiming you can create.
That's so cool. It's really funny. That's exactly what we do. That's what we love.
Yes.
Is relationship building to build our businesses
all day.
And we had, we're starting to build a speaking tour and working with a guy, and he cold outreach. He said, "Hey, this is not AI." He literally took a photo of himself.
It's pretty good
with this picture of paper. Said, "This is not AI." Like,
hey, Eli, this is not AI. Wanted to actually talk to you.
Real guy. So
I like that, but that it sounds silly, but that's how we have to stand out now, right? You really have to go the extra mile to prove that, first of all, that you're human. That's like a baseline now, but also to prove that, you're saying things that are true and you can deliver on the promises you're making.
I think it's funny that we're going like backwards into like these tangible products to use to market versus like some crazy savvy digital tool. Totally. It's like now we're going back to a piece of paper.
Yeah. And a picture through email, which everyone guards like crazy now.
I know.
It's crazy. Man. It's crazy. Full revolution. It's kind of like clothing these days. All the teenagers are wearing stuff that we all wore like in the 90s. So
I know. I feel bad when I see our old trends come back into style. I'm like, man, you don't have to do this. You don't have to wear the tight jeans. You don't have to do that. Save yourself.
I never had any trends. I never wore any of. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I didn't have anything. Like I never was a trend.
It says a lot about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, awesome. So Melanie, let's dive in a little bit. So, when did this coaching come along? When did you decide to create the Creator Kitchen Mastermind? Because I'm sure before that there was some stuff you were working on. And there was just this evolution, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Creator Kitchen is a collaboration with a really good friend of mine, fellow speaker, fellow marketer, Jay Acunzo. And it really came about really during COVID. So the two of us had previously been mostly speaking, doing a lot of in-person workshops, corporate trainings, really doing kind of a one-to-many approach, but live and in person. And the two of us were kind of begrudging, like, man, our whole industry is on pause right now. We can't get in front of people. We can't do the kind of educating we wanted to do. And we thought, how do we create an environment almost for ourselves. Like, how do we create a space where we can continue to help people grow creatively, help work on themselves, work on their skills, feel inspired? And again, I know we talked about this pre-show. We felt like a lot of the messaging, especially during those early days of COVID, was like, monetize every hobby you've ever had. It's the only way to survive. So we kind of wanted that return to the core of like, how can we help people focus on craft and on making work that matters instead of just trying to market more? So that was, I mean, it was really born of that kind of conversation, trying to create an environment where we felt like creatives would feel welcome and would also feel like they have community around them who cares about craft as much as they do, and focus on those core skills, personal storytelling, differentiating your ideas and really making an impact versus just making stuff, you know?
Oh, that's so cool. I think,
It's
yeah, the
amazing.
whole revolution of that is pretty cool. I would love to hear more about how did you get into the creative space with speaking, and where did that come from? What were some of the topics you were talking about on a
Yeah.
level, and what was your speaking kind of style?
So, depending on how far we want to roll back the tape here, I am a former journalist. That's what I studied. That's what I was trained for.
Cool.
Journalist turned marketer. So, I realized that a lot of the things I learned and could do very easily in the journalism world were super valuable in marketing and weren't quite as common. So, I took my experience from the journalism world, brought it into marketing, and that's where I kind of began speaking. So, I was working as the head of branded content at the New York Times. You know, one amazing company, amazing team, and the work we were doing was so cool. We were getting invited to conferences to go and talk about case studies of things we were building. And that's really where I got the first taste of like the speaking bug. I got on stage, I got to present, case studies of our team's work. And I was like, wait a second, this is my favorite thing ever. I love this. I love that energy. And crazy as it might seem, I'm actually really an introvert in real life. So while I love stuff like this because I feel like it's educational and it's message focused, it was a little out of character for me. People were like, "You want to go on the stage? Like, you didn't come out to drinks with the team last night." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so, but once I got a taste of it, I couldn't get enough, and so I started doing that more on behalf of my team, and then eventually realized like, oh, other people are getting paid to do this. There's an actual business here, and I've been out on my own for 10 years now, doing speaking. That was pre-COVID, was a majority of my revenue was speaking and corporate trainings, and then more recently shifted more toward consulting and coaching, and really trying to find other ways to help people access their creativity more readily.
Wow. That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing. When you made that transition from working as a journalist and you were speaking on behalf of them to taking it
Yeah.
under your own reign, what did you
Mhm.
do to get these speaking gigs? What were you doing? What was your message like? How were you
Yeah.
contacting them? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so we could talk about this all day long. So you stop me when you feel like it's been
Yeah.
enough. But
No.
um, but so when I was speaking on behalf of the company, I was largely talking about our case studies, right? The things we were doing for clients. Once I didn't have that logo under my name anymore, I had to come up with my own stuff. And so I started generalizing back to that journalism experience to say, I'm speaking to an audience of marketers. What do they not know that I know, given my background as a journalist, and how can I teach that to them? So a lot of stuff that informed what we were talking about with the book. So I talked a lot about how to earn trust, how to create content that's trusted and reliable and credible, how to create content people actually care about. Believe it or not, wasn't a priority in the early days of content marketing for brands. It was all like, what do we want to say? And nobody was asking the question, what does our audience actually want to hear? So crazy as it sounds, was kind of revolutionary at the time to put our audience at the center of our marketing attempts. So I did a lot of that stuff. Most of my early stuff was follow on from work I had done before. So people who had seen me speak at the New York Times, who had worked with me, were former clients saying, "Oh, wait, you're on your own. Come speak to my team. Come do a training for us." Really wanting to support after the good work we had done together. And the rest of it's just a numbers game. Like the really unsexy part of that work is my first 3 months, I probably reached out to or applied to about 200 events.
Wow.
And I ended up doing about 40 to 60 of those initial 200. That's an insanely high conversion rate. Again, I was really lucky that I had a lot of warm leads of clients I had been working with for years who had budget, had opportunity to bring me in. But yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. There's audiences out there who have things they need to learn, and it's just a matter of finding the right decision maker and convincing them that you have value to give to their audience.
That's so cool. Man, what a cool story. I love that. I love the tip, and I
Getting
love
going.
the introvert.
It's
Yeah.
getting moving. I love
Gosh.
it. Tell me about when the transition from speaking to this mastermind. When you felt like, okay, I've done the speaking, get some books we're rolling out, and then like, I'm going to start a mastermind. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mentioned before, a lot of it was during COVID. It was out of necessity, trying to figure out, well, I'm used to teaching on a stage. How do we make this, how do we socially distance this application of learning? So I will say, weirdly enough, I don't think we set out to say, like, how do we create a coaching offering? How do we create a mastermind or a community? It was almost reverse engineered to say, what was it about being on stage that we actually loved? Because it's not the shape of the stage or like, it's not, at least not for me. It's not the lights and the stage. It's not the pizzazz. It's like an opportunity to help people be better at their jobs, feel more confident in the work they're doing, and ultimately do better work as a result. So we tried to figure out, what does that look like in this new reality? And that's where we came up with the idea for a sort of hybrid mastermind and community. So we started thinking about, what are the learning modalities that would be necessary for someone to move through those same transformations that we do in person or in a workshop. And it's where we came up with kind of the combination of programming that we offer. So we have live master classes, which is basically like a specific topic or skill or tool that we're teaching, a storytelling tool, usually something like how to interview people effectively, or how to do personal storytelling, draw from your own life in a way that's meaningful. So we teach those live. We have what we call roundtable discussions, where we pick a topic and other members come in and you kind of have a guided discussion on a particular topic. And then we have office hours, which I also call Feeling Fridays, because it's on Fridays and I host it. And it's a no agenda type call. So you might think of it as like a, open call, Q&A, whatever you want to say. People show up and usually it's with some deep thing. I'm feeling imposter syndrome today and I don't know what to put out, or I worked really hard on this thing and it was poorly received and I'm in my head about it. So we have all those things. We bring in guests. There's all kinds of cool templates and prompts and fun stuff. But really what we're trying to do is help people consistently access creativity in a world that is otherwise a really lonely pursuit in a lot of cases, especially in this age where we're doing a lot of things remote. If you're writing a blog, working on a book, building a podcast, a lot of times this is the extent of your human contact for the day. And getting that energy, that creative energy is kind of tough when you're in a silo like that.
Three things. One, I love the format that you've put together, that there's different opportunities just in your program, Mastermind, from the master classes to the different calls and the Q&A. Like, having that ability to kind of pick and choose, I think, is really cool. Two, the name is so cool. The Creator Kitchen. Like, there's a visual to it. Like, I totally get it. A bunch of people come together and like, it's
so many good food puns too.
Yeah,
really. I mean, those come free with membership. Just like, we're cooking stuff up, let that idea marinate. We're going all in on it.
Man, that's creative.
Chop up
That's very creative.
What was three?
Number three. Who is your ideal client that's in there? You keep saying creatives, but like, what does that look like?
Yeah. That's a good question. So the majority of our members are people who have a creative practice of some kind, meaning they're creating content on a recurring basis that is public facing. So not to say that if you like to journal, this isn't the right place for you, but we create most of our content with a consistent public creation in mind. So that's often people like a blog author, a newsletter writer, someone who has a newsletter audience, maybe a following on Substack or Patreon. They have people paying for their content. We have quite a few podcasters. We have some folks who do video content, YouTubers, if you will. But people who are showing up on a consistent basis to deliver content to their audience, we want to help them make sure they're not just in this hamster wheel of focused on volume, and really kind of take a step back and make sure you're growing creatively along with your audience as well.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, did you have something else you wanted to say there?
Oh, I just was going to touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
There's such an emergence on LinkedIn. I would imagine you probably hang out on LinkedIn a lot. Everyone is like becoming a creative on LinkedIn. And so I could definitely see.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of shallow creative advice out there. One of the things that's really tempting, especially when you are a business, right? Your ideas are your business, like with any coach. is to kind of appeal to the lowest common denominator, right? You see the hacks working for somebody else, and even if you're not values aligned with them, you don't speak to the same audience, you're like, I'm going to try that hook. I'm going to be hacky. I'm going to do the thing that gets me all that engagement. It's really tempting because you want your stuff to work. And a lot of what we talk about is if you make work that matters, you have to hustle for attention less. Right. A lot of that, like begging for attention, that the hacks and tips and tricks is really making up for the fact that the work lacks the substance to be impactful on its own. So that's really where we're focused, is like, make stuff that is good and you will have to beg people to pay attention to it less.
So cool. So our background actually is in, we're creatives at heart. We've run a photo video company for the last 8 years together, and we've had some cool success in the e-commerce world. But this would have been so cool to have had this.
So it would have been
when
huge
we were
for us
going
like
through
4
it.
years ago.
Yeah,
6 years
I mean,
ago.
it would have been. So that's amazing what you're doing, because of those kind of those like bookends, right? People that are struggling and they have the questions, and then the people that want to share their successes, and
Yeah, it's a good way
it's
to
just
look at
this great collaboration I think that can happen in our field now, because we were creatives and we have a lot of creatives that follow what we've done, what we do from a mindset perspective, and what we learned as well, and that's all baked in our program, but is the qualitative results and qualitative mindset versus the quantitative mindset. And when we were going through so many shoots and just turning and burning them, we were getting burnt out, drained. But the shoots that we took a qualitative approach, and we shifted our mindset and said, this shoot, let's really focus on like what the, like a brand documentary we would be creating, and let's really dive deeper into these interview questions and understand who they are to their core. Why do they do that?
For sure.
And get excited about it. That changed how our business grew. And then today in our solo retreat program, creatives are attracted to our program simply because of that mindset shift to clear the fog. There's so many different ideas that they
being a
get, right?
creative,
They're
it's
hearing
just
it,
like you're constantly thinking, and
they're getting targeted, right? A creative typically is getting targeted with a ton of ads. Make 6 figures in a month with video production, whatever it might be. So how do they sort through that, find the clarity? It's just, creatives are such a cool space to work with, and I love what you're doing. And God, this would have been amazing back about 4 years ago.
Sorry, we didn't start it earlier.
No, that's really cool. Tell us about your books. We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
You've talked about Prove It, but tell us about the other one a little bit.
Yeah. So Prove It is my more recent book, the one that's really about using content to earn trust. Content Fuel Framework was my first book, which unfortunately came out the week before lockdown. So like not the greatest book launch experience. I'll just be transparent with my fellow solopreneurs here. Like didn't live up to expectations. But that book is really my system that I was teaching in workshops on how to come up with content ideas. Because another thing I find is when I'm working with creatives, at some point you feel kind of like you've said all there is to say. You run out of fresh takes, you run out of new ideas. And so the Content Fuel Framework is essentially me sharing the mindset that I was using to come up with new content ideas that I used as a journalist, where I had never thought of content ideas as like a scarce resource. We just make things every day. Like the newspaper keeps coming out, the show must go on, right? So it weirdly hadn't occurred to me that someone who wasn't trained that way might think of ideas as a limited resource. So I wanted to share that, shift that mindset to like, no, you can come up with content ideas. You just need the right prompt. And if you're thinking of it in this way, it becomes a lot easier to come up with new ideas. So it's really kind of like a brainstorm in a book cover, to kind of let you go through that process. There's a companion workbook that you could like work through all the activities, really super tactical stuff, like as minimal fluff as possible to just make it super tactical.
Very cool. I want to pick that book up.
That's so
I would
cool.
really like to get that book. Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, as we wrap things up, if there's one message you want to share to kind of leave with the audience, to kind of inspire them, maybe something actionable, whatever it might be, what would that be?
All right, so I'm going to go inspirational and then actionable. You are so much more creative than you know. So much more creative than you know. And it's important to recognize that we know this as children, right? And this gets trained out of us by a world that focuses on outcomes instead of experiences. So when you are feeling lost, when you are feeling not creative, go back to what you loved doing as a kid. If that was dancing, if it was drawing, go back to that little you that felt so free, and you will find that you connect more easily to your creative self. So you're more creative than you know, and tap your inner child to get back in touch.
Yep.
That's awesome. It's so true. It's so,
So
true.
true.
There's so many times I do try to pause when I'm just feeling kind of stuck or just like the hamster wheel's going. Like, what is?
Mhm.
We actually talk about that a lot with
We
people.
do.
What really brought you? You know, people have a hard time like finding what makes life fun.
Yeah.
We don't focus on
Yeah.
what was fun when you were a kid. What was pure bliss when you were a child. Most likely that's you lost that somewhere, and it's still going to be the same thing.
Yep.
It's still going to.
Yeah.
I love dancing to music. Well, have you tried going to a concert and
Mhm.
sing
Yeah.
along? Like it may be something different, but it's still the same line. Anyways,
I mean, have a dance party in your kitchen, you
Oh, I-
know, like it doesn't have to be a
Yeah,
big production
yeah.
either. Just
glass of
tap back
wine,
into
you
that
know,
energy.
the family and the kids are out of the house. I jam the Sonos up and I'm dancing like
He's not lying.
friends start getting videos and stuff. They're like, uh-oh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Melanie, thank you so much. If people want to
Wait,
join
so
the master,
tactical. She says a tactical
I
piece.
thought the tactical was.
That was the tactical. Was go back to your childhood. That's how you do it.
I'm sorry. That's beautiful. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let me interrupt you.
No, you're good. Where can they find you if they want to get
Yes.
involved in the mastermind?
So creatorkitchen.com is a website to learn more about the mastermind. You'll hear from Jay and I and what our perspectives are, all the different offerings we have. We're always adding new stuff to keep it exciting, keep you growing. And if you want to learn more about me, I'm at melaniedeziel.com. I'm also fairly search optimized. So if you look for me on your network of choice, you should find me there. There's only one of me.
Nice. Melanie, thank you so much. That was an awesome
Thanks.
conversation.
So good.
Thanks for letting me share my story.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. We'll put everything in the footnotes, and definitely going to get that book. Both of them sound awesome, but the first book, I think I would really enjoy reading.
I would agree with that. Though.
We'll see you
Yeah.
soon. Thank you, Melanie.
Good. Bye.
So much value.
So much value. I'm telling you, man, the energy with coaches.
It's next.
That's why we talk to them all the time, and I love it.
I know.
I love it.
And it was nice just having some common ground and like
It really
experience.
was.
And I think there's so much to learn in the space of, when you're becoming a creative or you've been a creative, you do get stuck. And it's like, I don't know what else to say, or I have a hard time with that. Here's a solution for you.
Imagination as well as a creative is really important.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a million ideas you can run after, but if you really just stick to a few.
For sure.
You go after it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Peak Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, hit your notifications. We look forward to having more amazing guests just like this and so many that we have. And we will see and talk to you in the next Peak Podcast episode.
See you guys.